Welcome to Food, Wine, and Whiskey, a podcast about having fun conversations on tasty dishes, vinos, and spirits from around the world. Rob is your host. He is an avid home chef, WSET Level 2 award in wine, and a whiskey drinker and collector. Time to set the table. Here's Rob.
Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by for another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. We're going to get into our topic in just a minute, but before we do, I wanted to give a big thanks to everybody who listens to the podcast from all over the globe. We really appreciate that. And would also appreciate if you could take a little time and leave us a review, a like, wherever you listen to the show, whether it's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever it might be. That's really huge for the show, and the algorithm of searches and things like that really helps us out. We appreciate it. I also want to let you know you can find us under the same name, Food, Wine, and Whiskey, on all the social media. And we have a website, www.foodwinewhiskey.com. We put up all the things that we're cooking. We put up some recipes, and all the episodes are also available on the website. And last thing we'll mention to you all is we have our YouTube channel up and running. We're doing some cooking of some recipes and dishes that we enjoy. We're doing some backyard things now that we have some nice weather down here in Houston. And we're going to start to do some more wine reviews, whiskey reviews, and just have some fun conversations with friends and things like that. So the YouTube channel's up, and we'd appreciate it if you want to go check us out there as well. All right, for tonight's episode, my lovely wife, Sandra, back on the show. How you doing, babe?
I'm doing great.
Good. This conversation tonight, you and I were talking about, and I brought this up to you because kind of where we've been, what we've enjoyed the last half. We're going to do kind of this journey, our 2024 journey in wine, kind of what we've been exploring and liking. But the last few months, I just kind of wanted to talk about kind of the five wines or regions, grapes or regions that we've been enjoying the last 4 or 5 months that we've really kind of, what would you say, we're exploring or kind of dove a little deeper into? Okay, that we've been exploring. Mm-hmm. And I got to start this by saying, I think I've mentioned this a few times on some recent episodes. I used to be this typical dude of, I drink red wine. I'm not a girl. I don't drink white wine. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'll have a glass of white wine before we actually sit down and have a meal with some red wine. I've now evolved even further. I absolutely love white wine. And if you're not drinking a lot of white wine, as, not like in one sitting, but exploring and drinking and seeing what's out there for white wines, you're missing out. You need to start that journey, start exploring, because white wines, it's where it's at.
I would agree.
It really is. And I know you might be thinking, well, heck, man, we're in December. You're drinking white wines in the wintertime? Hell yeah.
Well, I'm glad you started to come aboard on my side.
Yeah, it took me a little while. But you've started me in all these rabbit holes, and then you question why you got me involved, because I go down the rabbit hole.
I start you on a little itty bitty hole, and then
you throw me a nugget,
going.
I'm going to look for the whole cake.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's like that. You give a mouse a cookie.
That's right. That's right. Becomes a pet. So we're going to talk about five grapes, wines, wine regions, call it what you will, that we've really been enjoying, and we thought we would just talk about them a little bit and mention them to folks. Some of these you probably know, you've probably had, and maybe you haven't explored them as much as you probably should. Some of them maybe you haven't heard of, and this might be something that you go, okay, I'm going to go check this out. But let's dive into it. If we have time, we may talk about some wines that are kind of, used to be, some of our favorites that are kind of in the rearview mirror a little bit.
Kind of dropped off our list.
Yeah. Let me say this. We always talk about keep exploring. And I really like that hashtag for us, the type of wine drinkers we are, for me specifically. Mm-hmm. I really like to explore and see, in the world of wine, what's out there related to one grape from different regions or just the different grapes from around the world that great wines can be made from. And I totally get, I've been kind of educated, if you will, that it's okay. Because I used to give people a hard time going, man, stop just drinking one region. Get out there and explore. And I still feel that way. I'm just not going to give people a hard time anymore if you don't.
Right.
I'll just, kind of shake my head and say, you're missing out. Is that fair?
That would be fair. Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, under my breath. I won't say it out loud.
Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because people like what they like.
They like what they like, but that kind of goes into the first grape that we're going to talk about when we talk about the 5 grapes, 5 wines that we really enjoy and have taken a deeper dive into. And that's Chardonnay.
Oh.
And I say people like what they like, or you say that. And my response is, you know how many people say, I just don't like Chardonnay?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
And the answer is, that's not true. You just haven't had the right Chardonnay.
Well, yes. I would say that goes for a lot of things.
Well, sure, but that gets back to my keep exploring.
Yes.
So you say they like what they like. I'm just saying there's something out there for everyone in all the little corners of the world, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. So Chardonnay, we absolutely have come, and I'll be honest and tell you, I was one of those guys early on in my white wine journey. And I think it was because, we started off in Napa, and 15 years ago, it was big. Think about Rombauer with the big over-oaked, buttery Chardonnay. That style was kind of the style. And we didn't like it. I wouldn't say just me. We didn't like it. We were more the Sauvignon Blancs of Napa at that time, a little crisper, a little lighter, a little more fresh.
Right. We liked the Sauvignon Blanc over the Chardonnay. I will say I did at some point in my wine journey enjoy a nice Kendall Jackson Chardonnay, but I've grown since then.
Okay. You say you used to drink that, but do you remember that? I never had it. Do you remember that profile?
I do not, because it's been so long, and I think I was there. It's been so long, I really
15,
can't even
20 years,
remember what it was that I liked. I think because it was affordable and it...
hit the spot.
Yeah.
But I would also
it.
say at that time, your palate was...
very young.
Yeah, underdeveloped. Mm-hmm. I would be curious that you bring that up, and I go, kind of want to go buy a bottle and see what you think.
We may have to do that.
That
I might
might be
want to
kinda
try
fun.
and see if I still like a Kendall Jackson Chardonnay.
Yano?
Or that would be interesting.
See, I might give you those blind and see how they... That might be something fun to do on the YouTube channel. Sandra's old favorites. What does she think now?
I would be curious because it's been so long.
Oh, that could be interesting. That'd be a lot of fun. All right.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Check out the YouTube channel. That may be coming soon.
But let's move on.
But Chardonnay is a great grape.
Yes.
And, you hear so many winemakers talk about it's this blank canvas. It really depending on the soil and the climate and everything, it can be kind of influenced in a lot of different ways. It can do well in a warmer climate. It really does well in a cooler climate. That's usually where you see it. When I say a cooler climate, it just has those cooler elements that come in, off a coast, off the ocean, the valley of a mountain or something like that. But when we talk about Chardonnay for you and I, there's 2 regions that have stood out that we've really enjoyed drinking Chardonnay from. And the first one is, you know what it is?
What is it?
Chablis. I figured.
Oh, yes. Okay. I thought I was going to have to name some kind of vineyard.
No,
I was going to say,
the
my
place.
gosh.
No, the place.
No, yes, a Chablis. Yes.
We love Chablis. Chablis is its own appellation. It's north. When you think about, Bourgogne, it's at the northern part of that, kind of almost detached a little bit from Bourgogne over to the kind of northwest of that. And it's just got beautiful Chardonnays that are different than what, the typical kind of profile or style in Bourgogne. They're very crisp. They're very acidic. They're very mineral. And we, were exposed to those this year and quickly fell in love with these wines.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And the thing I would also say is this is a region where, like every region in Burgundy, they can get expensive, but you can still find some really great Chablis for a really good price. And, obviously you can go up and find some Premier Crus and some expensive ones.
Oh,
but
yes.
when you think about white wine, red wine, and you say Burgundy, automatically most people think expensive. The point here in talking about this region is that you can still find some pretty valuable wine, or value-driven wines in this region.
I absolutely enjoy a Chablis, and there's been many times when we're discussing what kind of white wine do we want or to try out with this dinner, and it's a Chablis is what we usually go for,
Love Chablis.
Love it.
Yeah, one of our favorite regions.
I didn't think I would, and I guess I kept thinking, comparing it to what I had before and not liking a Chardonnay. And
well, that's what I was going to say. If you go back 10 years for you, I'll just talk about you as a wine drinker. 10 years ago, you were all about the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes.
Not a huge fan of the Chardonnay.
No.
You come fast forward 10 years, you can almost do 180 degrees.
Absolutely.
You love Chardonnays, and you're still okay with Sauvignon Blanc, but they're not your favorites.
No, they wouldn't be my go-to white wine that I would drink all the time.
No.
Every once in a while, sometimes
Depending on
it depends.
region.
Right.
Depending on region. Because
absolutely.
you think about Loire Valley with Sancerre or Pouilly-Fumé, we still like those Sauvignon Blancs. They're kind of a different style in that region.
Which kind of reminds me, I don't know if we have any more Sancerre.
We do.
Well, you've been holding out on me.
That's what you usually say to me. Or I usually say to you. I just put them in the fridge. I don't have to tell you they're in there.
Then I'll just go looking and hunting.
There you go. You can do that.
Okay. But yes, Chablis are amazing. And if you do like Chardonnay and you want to try something different, I would definitely say go and try some Chablis.
Yeah, and the next region we're going to mention in Chardonnay is still in Bourgogne, but it's at the very southern appellation of Bourgogne. It's the Macon. And we like this region. The first big factor is you get some great value down there. You still get great wines, but you get some really good value. And now that we're talking about, you're going to the south of Bourgogne, it's a little warmer climate. So these wines are going to be a little bit, more full body, a little richer, riper fruit. A lot of these, they don't necessarily see a lot of oak, but there might be some stirring of the lees or a little mallow where you get this creaminess, this kind of a more bigger mouthfeel, if you will, than that kind of crisp, acidic, clean, mineral Chablis. So it's this nice contrast, these two different regions that you and I have really been enjoying of the same grape Chardonnay. The other thing we like down there is the Pouilly-Fumé, which is another little small appellation that does you can still get some good value for some great Chardonnay in that appellation as well. And that appellation is actually in the Maconnais, so it's in the same region. And we like Pouilly-Fumé.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Very much.
So Chardonnay, I know it's a grape that everybody knows, but I also think it's a grape that a lot of people avoid, especially a lot of people in America who maybe have had it in California and not liked it, and then just automatically say, I can't go to France, it's too expensive. There really is some good value. I'm mentioning two regions. You just got to work a little. You can find some good value in the other regions as well, but don't give up on Chardonnay.
I agree. And, speaking of the value part, and we discussed that on the last podcast about always finding a good value, and that's what we're always looking for. So it's not like we're going to go looking for $100 Chardonnay or anything like that, or Chablis. We really...
People want to spend money just to spend money. That's up to them. We don't do that.
No.
We like wines that punch up. We say that all the time. We want to drink something and go, I would have paid more. I'm glad we didn't.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're always looking for, is to find those wines, make recommendations to friends that go, hey, try this because you'll be glad you did.
Right. And I think we've done that a lot with even the Pouilly-Fumé, where we've opened up a bottle and we say, here, try this. and they fall in love with that wine, and they're like, what is this? And when we tell them and the price, and they're like, I can't believe it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's always good to explore and try different things as well. Even if you say you don't like a Chardonnay, you will most definitely like some kind of Chablis.
Yep, absolutely. I'll mention 2 other regions for Chardonnay that we've not explored a lot, but we've had a couple of wines from that we really like. One is Tasmania in Australia. We've had some of their Chardonnay with Mark Davidson.
Yes.
Very, very impressive. Very, very good.
Yes.
We had a $21. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. It's slipping my mind. We tasted it with a $90 Chardonnay and a $21, and we honestly liked the $21
yes,
better. And we ended up buying several bottles of that. So another area you can find some good value with.
And you don't think about that area to have some Chardonnays.
Well, when you think about Tasmania related to Australia, it's off the coast, the southern coast. So it's going even more, it's going more cooler for them. It's south, but it's going towards the South Pole, so it's cooler. And so that region does good with Chardonnay and does good with, Pinot Noirs from there are really good as well. So
I to be honest, I never would have thought of, let me try Tasmania Chardonnay.
I know.
Never would have crossed my mind.
I just think the cartoon every time you say Tasmania. And the last region I'll mention that is Argentina.
Yes.
You can get some really good, you can get some expensive ones. We've had the white bones and those, but you can get some really good Chardonnay from Argentina as well at a good cost.
Yes.
So
yes.
We'll throw those out there.
So you won't only just find Chardonnay in Napa Valley. You'll find them all over the place. It's just...
Well, not just France. That's where it comes
in France,
from.
yes.
Yeah.
You'll find them all over the place and some really good ones, good values.
Yeah. And, the next wine we're going to talk about, I get back to me always wanting to explore and just kind of forcing you to go along in the ride with me, Sandra. I do love exploring, but I will tell you I've landed in a country that the exploration there is enormous. You can just really go down a rabbit hole in this one country. You know what I'm talking about, right? Italy. When you think about the wines of the world, things that are planted, like Chardonnay and Cabernet and Merlot and Syrah and all these wines, those are the wines that come from France, but they've done well. They do well in a lot of different places, but they're the same grapes.
Right.
The thing that I absolutely have fallen in love with Italy is, one, the grape that took us there, which was Sangiovese. We absolutely love Sangiovese.
Yes.
And once you get into the country and you start going, okay, let's explore a little bit. What else does Italy have to offer? You usually will find, the usual suspects, Nebbiolo with Barbera and Barbaresco and Barolo, not Barbera, Barbaresco and Barolo for Nebbiolo. You might find an Armorone, which is a very popular wine. Some of these kind of things. Italy has over 300 indigenous grapes, white and red varieties that you can explore through and find. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So if you're a wine nerd and wine geek and you haven't kind of dove into Italy a little bit as far as, getting up into Alto Adige and Friuli and this place we're about to mention, Sicily, you really need to.
Yes.
You really need to. Sicily is a place that you and I this year, last several months, have absolutely fallen in love with the Etna Rosso. And I'll just throw it out there, the Etna Bianco. Both of those, the white and the red. And to me, this is really the only region, and I might be wrong, I'm not an expert on Italy, but, going through like we have, this is the only region I've found where they have this signature red and white wine from this area, from Mount Etna. An Etna Rosso and an Etna Bianco.
I would
or
have
not
to
a Bianco, a Blanco.
I would have to
defer to me.
Defer to you.
Yeah, I think that's I don't. When I think Nebbiolo, I don't think of a signature white that goes with it. There's whites up there.
Yeah.
Suave Classicos or whatever, or a what's the one that starts with a G? That we like. Anyway, there's other regions that have absolutely red wines and whites, but they're not tied in under the kind of the same name, same region.
Right.
Doing, like a Chardonnay Pinot Noir from Burgundy. When you think Mount Etna, you think Etna Rosa, Etna Blanco. Is it Blanco or Bianco now? I'm all
Bianco.
You sure? So it's Etna Bianco. I don't know. I'm getting a little confused there with Etna Blanco. Etna Bianco. But we're going to focus on for this part of our conversation the five wines that we've really been enjoying with the Etna Rosso. And you heard us kind of mention earlier that Sandra and I really enjoy a more complex wine.
Yes.
A wine that really shows good structure, good balance of the acidity, the fruit, the tannin, the alcohol, all of those things. And, quality grapes. Any good wine starts with quality fruit, right? Mm-hmm. And, man, you get some absolutely beautiful fruit. And the winemakers in this area, I would say, and I've said before, they're under the radar. They've become more well-known, but I still think they fly a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Wine people would say no, but I think the average wine drinker
I would agree with
isn't.
that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I was aware.
Yeah, no, because I don't think, to be honest, I don't think I was ever aware of any of these until we were introduced through, I would have to say from you. And I think you were introduced through wine dinners or maybe even wine distributors.
I probably went to a wine tasting or something and discovered it. Because I eventually did a show with Kevin Day from Denver from Opening the Bottle, where we specifically did a show on Etna Rosso and Etna Bianco.
Yeah.
And that's in our library if you want to go back and check that one out to really dive more into this. But he has the opinion, and I agree with him. When you think about the great wines of Italy, right away you go Brunello, Barbaresco, and Barolo. Mm-hmm. And his opinion is these wines now, where the high quality, well-produced wines of Etna Rosso are on that same tier. Not just a notch below. He thinks they're equal to right now. And that's saying quite a bit for these wines.
I was going to say, that is saying a lot.
Yeah. And to me, when you hear a lot of people say, I'm looking for Pinot Noir, in the States, again, very expensive to get Pinot from California. Mm-hmm. And then when you think about going to Bourgogne in France, can be very expensive, or at least you have to hunt a lot more to find something that might not be. This, to me, is a wine that has a lot, it's not exact, but it has a lot of similarities to a Pinot Noir. It's high acidity, great with food. It's got softer tannins. It's lower in alcohol. It's on these elevated slopes of Mount Etna. And by the way, Mount Etna is an active volcano. So you're getting a very unique kind of profile in these wines from this volcanic ash.
Right.
Which gives you this sense of place, which is really cool and really an experience to drink some of these really cool wines.
It's very good.
But they're very acidic. They have nice fruit, soft tannins. These are wines that can be approachable, right, when they're put on the shelf. But they're also wines that you can sit on 5, 10, 15 years and let them develop in bottle. And they can really be some fantastic things. And by the way, if you're going, well, Etna Rosso is Etna. Etna, we already said, is the Mount Etna, the mountain there where the volcano. Rosso just means red. So if you're wondering what the grape is that Mount Etna Rossos use, it's Nerello Mascalese is the grape that they use there in Mount Etna. There's another bigger, bolder red wine from Sicily called Nero d'Avola, which is kind of, if I was going to compare it to something for people to kind of go, oh, okay, that's what it's like, it would be more like a cab or something like that. Bigger, bolder, that kind of a wine, where this is more finesse and delicate.
I would agree.
Yeah, so we really, really enjoy and we'll continue to explore Etna Rossos. Love those wines.
I would agree with you on that because it feels like that's something new that we've been trying a lot this year.
Well, and the funny thing is, every time we open one,
I always say, this is so good.
that's exactly right.
What is this?
What is this?
And you're like, it's Etna Rosso.
Yep. And
Yes, I do. I remember that every time.
Every single time. So, and for me, I'm not opening the same bottle 6 times. I'm different producers. But,
right.
And I say that to say, most of them do a really good job. And again, from a cost standpoint, yes, you can find expensive ones like any wine region. But really, you can find some Etna Rossos in the mid to upper 20s to the, mid to upper 40s, which is some really beautiful wines.
Yes.
Really great wines. So
I don't know. I just know every time you open it, I enjoy the glass. And I do know every time you open it, I'm like, what is this? This is so good.
Surprised you're not just
you would think.
out.
You would think.
The next wine that we're really kind of exploring and absolutely enjoying, we're going to talk about traditional method sparkling.
I love a sparkling.
Let's start with, we love champagne.
Yes.
And there's several champagnes that we really have enjoyed over the last several years. And those champagnes all have went, from $40 to $70, from $50 to $90. I mean, $80 to $110. So the price of champagne is it's getting out of control. I mean, it really is. And I heard a guy talking about the same thing. And he said it used to be that, I would buy those wines and drink those wines. And then it got to be where, I would buy it, maybe just save it for a special occasion or buy it for a special occasion. And he's kind of where I'm at. He's like, I don't even buy them too much anymore when I can go explore the other sparkling made in that traditional method.
I just want to first start out by saying we were never big champagne drinkers way back. And I think that was because
it's only been
we
the
always
last 3.5 years,
yes.
4 years.
And I would have to say, I think for me, champagne many years ago was always something for a big celebration. New Year's, weddings, anniversaries, big 21 years old, those were big celebrations was when you would have a champagne. Now that we've been exploring more champagne, I'm like, oh my gosh, how could I have been missing out on this all this time? Love them. Now that we're trying all these other things, champagne method that are not champagne, but made in the champagne method traditional method because it's not champagne because it's not made in champagne. I know. I am loving these different types.
Yeah.
I'm loving them.
Well, let's jump into some of these.
Yeah.
And, we still love champagne, and we still have some champagne, and we will always have some champagne in the fridge. But when we start thinking about, you heard us mention earlier, bang for our buck, when you want a sparkling, and when you look at France and you go, okay, if it's a sparkling wine made in the traditional method, but not in champagne, it's called the Cremant. And when you start finding these and kind of exploring the regions that do these, you find some beautiful wines.
Oh, yes.
You find some wines that are very affordable that some people might mistake for a champagne. And every region outside of Champagne, to my knowledge, in France, makes a Cremant. Now, I wouldn't say we've had them all, but we've explored, and there are a couple that really stand out to us that have become kind of our favorites, our go-to, where we feel like every time we get bottles from there, they're pretty much a hit.
Yes.
And what are they? Do you remember?
I don't want to make a mistake.
Just guess. I want to see if you're paying attention or you're just drinking.
All sauce?
All sauce. Bingo. Number one, we absolutely love Cremants from All Sauce.
I just drink them, Rob.
They make some of the best ones.
Yes, they do. All Sauce does, yes.
Beautiful wines. And if you know the region of All Sauce, very famous wine region in France for making, outstanding wines, kind of known in that region for Rieslings and Pinot Blanc and Gewürztraminer, which I'm not a fan of. Mm-hmm. But those are the wines, Riesling being the big one. They're right there on the border with Germany in that area, not too far from is the Rhine River in Germany, I think.
Yes, I think so.
So Alsace, one of our favorites.
Yes, it is.
And then right below that, or equal to, I would say on the same tier, would be Bourgogne, back to Burgundy. Mm-hmm. They make a Cremant, and if you think about Champagne uses Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. Well, Bourgogne uses Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, maybe a little Gamay, something like that. So my point in saying that is similar style or similar grapes being made in the same method, traditional method. So when you think about the result or what might be in the bottle,
it's going to be good.
It's going to be good and maybe closer to what you might get in Champagne.
Right.
But part of the world, or part of the wine journey of exploring the world, is to try to find maybe the same traditional method, but different grapes.
Well, that's
regions.
what I was going to ask you. Do you think when people are looking at different types of, sparkling, would it be safe to say if they're looking to make sure that it's made in the traditional method, that they have maybe a better chance of having something good versus, I don't know, something else?
Well, not necessarily good. But the biggest thing I would say is when you think traditional method, you're getting that second fermentation in bottle. Mm-hmm. So you have this sugar and yeast in the bottle. The yeast eats the sugar and dies, which becomes, wine quiz, the lees.
The lees.
Uh-huh. The lees are the dead yeast. Uh-huh. And you leave those lees in the bottle. The longer you leave them in and you turn them and keep moving them, the more brioche and bready that the champagne or the bubbles will become. So if you go, I like champagne, then to your point, yes, traditional method should give you something closer to what champagne would be. The difference would still be, one, the fruit, the quality of the fruit. What are they using? Because when you think about Burgundy and you think about, I said they use Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Well, this is a region that's known for the world's most expensive Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Mm-hmm. So their best grapes that they have, that they're harvesting, are not going in their Cremants, right? So we know that. In Champagne, the best grapes are being made into Champagne.
Right.
So we already know Champagne has a leg up on quality of fruit for what they're doing. But the method is still going to matter. And time on lees, if you can find that out, to me, I think the minimum in Alsace and Bourgogne is around 18 months. But if you can get it over that, 24 months, 30 months, 36 months, the more time on lees, to me, it's just that bigger, richer, and then breadier, brioche kind of, which is what most people love about Champagne. But you still want that, that effervescence, the bubbles.
Right.
You want the mousse, and you want to have that nice,
because that's what makes it look fun and celebratory. Yeah. So, thinking of what is that price? What would you be saving a lot more with a Cremant versus? So
the two. Let's get to that.
Champagne.
Okay. The two areas we really like are Alsace and Bourgogne. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention that we have tried Cremants from the Loire Valley and from Bordeaux, and we've tried more than one, and we've had misses more than hits. Right. And so we've kind of been living in Alsace and Bourgogne for our.
Yes.
So I want to start there. As far as price, you bring up a great point because it's a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get really good cremants for less than $30. Sometimes less than 20. There's a couple, I think it's Albrecht, however you say it, in Alsace. They make a Cremant Rosé, $17, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think, as a matter of fact, I think our Costco has it right now for like $14.
Oh, wow.
And it's absolutely fantastic. So as far as a value, and to me, still punching up, a lot of the Cremants that we have, we're paying, let's just say, sub $30. Mm-hmm. And if I had to pay between 30 and 40, I'd be fine with that and still think I'm getting a deal. So they all have punched up to us.
Well, that's a steal then.
Yeah.
We should have cases.
Have you not looked in the fridges? You can't see the top shelves.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
I need to start.
That sparkling traditional method in France, not champagne, cremants. Mm-hmm. Spain does some great ones called cava. They use some different grapes, and that's what you heard me talking about earlier. Now you need to be open to exploring and trying some different things. So they have some grapes, and they may use maybe some Tempranillo, maybe some Grenache, maybe some of those kind of grapes from Spain. But what I found is a lot of times it's the Macabeo, the XRLO, I'm butchering these pronunciations, and the Peralda grapes are a lot of times what you'll see in a cava. But cavas are still fantastic. I mean, again, don't expect that you're drinking champagne, but understand that you're going to get the structure of what a champagne should be because it's the same method, just a different grape, which also to me makes it fun. Mm-hmm. You're getting that same kind of wine as far as what it is, as far as the mousse, the bubbles on the lees, things like that, but with a different grape, which gives you a little bit of a different, aromas and on the palate kind of profile.
Right.
And cavas are something, you and I, if we're being completely honest, we've had a few this year and we've enjoyed them, but we've really been in this rabbit hole of cremants. So cava, we've been enjoying. We need to dive a little deeper. The first part of this year, we were bigger into French Cortas.
Yes.
And because, again, we've gotten into this cremant kind of craze, we had a French Corta the other night.
Yes, and I was going to say, that was very lovely.
Very lovely, $29.
Yeah.
And you can't beat that.
Nope.
It was a rosé.
Yep.
And so when you think about French Corta, it's a region in northern Italy, in Lombardy. And again, when we think about champagne using Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, well, in French Corta, they use Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, which is Pinot Noir it's Pinot Noir. It's just called Pinot Noir, and Pinot Bianco. So again, going to be kind of similar.
Right. It's just how they do things, and just, I figure climates and everything's always a little different. But I do enjoy a French Corta.
Well, we enjoy sparkling.
I do enjoy sparkling.
And
I don't know why it took us so long to get into that.
Because we didn't know anything about it. To your point that you said earlier, I thought, it was just to have in a celebration or a big moment. And all I knew was champagne. And let's be honest, for a long time, I thought if it made bubbles, it was called champagne.
I did too.
I didn't know it had to be from
champagne.
Didn't know champagne was a place. I thought it was a sparkling wine, a bubbly wine. So in our journey, we got educated as well.
Yes, we did.
Now, that wasn't just 2 years ago.
No.
That was a long time ago.
It was.
But we never knew enough about champagne to really get into it, or bubbles, understanding the process, the second fermentation, disgorgement, the dosage that goes into it once they get ready for that final putting the cork in.
Right.
All of those things that actually make the wine. Now we know. So when we look at a bottle, we look at the back and we can see what the dosage was. We can see what the disgorgement date was. We make a better buying decision on, whether we think we're going to like that sparkling wine or not. So
correct.
It's all about learning, right?
It is.
The journey.
And like I said, I always said that we always thought of champagne or bubbles or anything like that was more for celebratory. And what is my rule?
Every day is a day to celebrate.
Every day is a day to celebrate.
Yeah.
So you should be drinking
You can open a nice
something.
wine on a Wednesday morning if we want.
Yes.
For cereal.
Absolutely. Why not?
But you do always say that. You know,
I
if
do.
it's just me and you, and we made a couple tacos, and I want to open up a $100 bottle of wine, you're fine with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I love that about you.
I think every day you should celebrate.
Well, yeah, I agree. And we just can't afford to every day.
True.
Yeah. If we could, we would.
That is true.
I do want to go to our fifth, and this is going to be our fourth wine, region wine grape that we've gotten into this year. And part of the reason, coming back to Chris Ruland again, he got us into this wine because we are big pizza people. You know, I'm a deep dive into pizza doughs and pizza styles, making pizzas. We got 3 pizza ovens out back. Love to make and cook pizza. And he introduced us to Barbera.
Yes.
And told us it's, in his opinion, the best pizza wine. And we quickly found that we were in agreement with him.
Yes.
Now, I will say Barbera is a great wine on its own for other foods as well, but it does do really well with pizza.
Yes, it does.
And Barbera, the grape, comes from Piemonte, up in northwest Italy, where you have Barbaresco and Barolo, the king and queen of the wines of Italy, which is the Nebbiolo grape. And a lot of people, you know, because these are the most celebrated wines of that region, the Barolos and the Barbarescos, think that it's probably the most widely planted grape, Nebbiolo. It's not. Barbera is the most widely planted grape in that area, and it's what the locals drink. If they're going to go out and have food and wine, they're drinking Barbera.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, they're not oohing and ahhing. I mean, I'm sure they do ooh and ah over their Barolos, but they appreciate and know how good and how versatile this red wine is, Barbera.
If it's good enough for the locals, it's good enough for us.
Hey, who would we be to argue with the Italians?
We
up
wouldn't.
north? There's 2 regions that are really famous for Barbera, and that's Barbera d'Alba and Barbera d'Asti. Those are the 2, and these are 2 different towns that are known for those wines.
Okay.
Now, the 2 regions, they have a different style in what they produce with Barbera. They're not exactly the same, and that's why I'm bringing up the 2 regions. When you think about, just the terroir of both these areas, Barbera d'Asti is a warmer, kind of more fertile soils, where Barbera d'Alba is in the hills with a more kind of mineral and mineral-rich kind of soil. When you think about the taste of these wines, Barbera d'Asti is going to be this lighter, more acidic, kind of fresher with fruit flavors, some cherries, some red plums. And when you think about Barbera d'Alba, it's kind of it's more structured, kind of a deeper wine with darker fruits, blackberries and blueberries. So, I wouldn't say 180 degrees of each other. Both can be, vary in style, can be a little lighter, a little heavier, but in general, that's kind of the 2 profiles that you're going to get from those 2 Barberas from those 2 areas. But beautiful wines. And again, we mentioned it. I will say, we mentioned that any wine region can have some, higher end, more expensive offerings from these wines. And Barbera is no exception.
Right.
But I would say the exception would be those are fewer and far between. You're not going to find a lot of those. What you are going to find is value wines. These wines are somewhere between $14 and $25 for great wines all the time. That's the standard
14
to $25 for Barbera, d'Asti, and d'Alba. So these are
That's fantastic
wines. Yep. And, you know, our favorite with the pizza is the Barbera d'Asti because we like that, you know.
style.
Yep, that lighter, more acidic, kind of goes with the acidity of the tomato sauce and things like that on a pizza. So that's where we kind of lean to is the Barbera d'Asti. But we've explored both, and all in all, just a fantastic wine. You agree?
I would agree. 100% I would agree.
And that gets us to our last wine, which is a blend that we have been drinking the last several months that we absolutely love. Do you know what I'm talking about? When I say it, you're going to know, but I'm just wondering if you know.
The last wine?
Well, it's a white wine blend that we have just been oohing and ahhing and drinking bottles of because we enjoy it so much.
Semillon?
Yes. Good job, Sandra.
Woohoo!
A Bordeaux white blend.
Yes, those are very good.
And not just from Bordeaux, but from Bordeaux. You know,
Yeah.
I say that because the two areas we've been drinking these blends from is Bordeaux, but also from Australia, who have been doing some great things with Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc blends going both ways. And what I mean by that is sometimes Semillon heavy with, you know, a splash of Sauvignon Blanc, or that's the second grape, and sometimes Sauvignon Blanc heavy
With some Semillon.
with some Semillon bringing up the rear.
Right. You know, and I do remember even introducing that to some of our friends, and they're like amazed with the
Oh, yeah.
taste.
So-
They like it as just as well.
Beautiful wines. We've also had some 100% Semillon,
Yes.
which we've absolutely enjoyed.
Yes.
And, you know, when you think about Bordeaux, you don't think white wines.
No.
I mean, you think
You think red. You're Bordeaux.
you're in Bordeaux. Now, red wine is king in Bordeaux. There's no doubt about it. But they make some absolutely stunning white wines that are very coveted around the world, can get very expensive. And they also make some dessert wines. You know, Sauternes comes from Bordeaux.
Yes.
So something else that comes from there. So Bordeaux is absolutely and rightfully known for the red wines of those
Right.
regions. But the point is they do some other great things. That's where we always say, get into a region. Red wine might take you there, but go explore. And that's when you're going to find Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I love a Semillon. Those are so good too.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Semillon. That we've been drinking a lot of those.
A lot
too.
of that. Yeah.
Yes.
And again, the two regions, and I don't know if it's anywhere else. Maybe it is, but the two regions in the world that are making it is Bordeaux and I say region, Australia is a country. And I know Australia Mark Davidson gets a little frustrated that everybody says it's Australian wine. They don't name McLaren Valley or McLaren
Right.
Vale or wherever it's from. I honestly don't know Australia that well. I need to learn that better. But somewhere in Australia, they're making Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc, and it's absolutely fantastic. I need to go look at the bottle and see where it comes from. But it's absolutely fantastic. And sorry, Australia. Need to give you guys some more respect because you guys do some great things.
Yes, they do some great things.
And they do some great things with some Italian varieties as well. They're making some great Fiano and some other things. So
That's where we always say, go explore. I mean, we need to probably do a lot more in Australia and New Zealand.
not sure if I want to go to New Zealand, but okay.
Well, you never know.
Maybe for their Pinot Noir. Just not a fan of their Sauvignon Blanc.
But you never know what else they have there.
Okay. I mean, I'm not
You
going
got
to
to
say
go
no.
explore.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm not going to argue with you about that. So those are our kind of five, again, I'm calling them wines, grapes, regions that we've been really, really enjoying. So we started with the Chardonnay, with Chablis and the Macanays, and then Etna Rossos on Mount Etna in Sicily, getting away from Champagne because Champagne's getting too expensive, and really exploring and finding great value and great wines with traditional method sparkling from other places around the globe. And also in France with Cremants, Cava from Spain, French Corta from Italy, Barbera up in northern Italy, great grape that if you're not drinking, great value, very versatile, food friendly. And then our last one again was the Bordeaux white blends of Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc from Bordeaux, but also from Australia that we've been drinking and enjoying.
I know. I'm looking forward to see what we have coming up for the new year.
Is there any wine places we've dipped our toes in that you go, I want more? Or is there a wine place that we haven't been to yet that you're going, we need to go here and try some wines?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I mean, there's so many places to go and try and explore. Maybe Greece.
You're going to have to put your notes together. We're going to have to, in the next couple of weeks, record an episode kind of winding up our...
I have homework.
You have homework.
I don't do homework.
Over the holidays, you have homework. Winding up our 2024 wine journey. Kind of talk about what we've enjoyed this year and what we're looking forward to trying next year. So that'll be coming up pretty soon.
All right.
You excited for that?
I'm excited just to try
wine. You know what
wine.
I want to get you into? I'll just kind of throw this nugget out there.
Okay.
Fortified wines.
Okay, I would try.
I want you more to explore,
That's probably
sherries,
something I
ports,
need
and
to
Madeira.
do. Yeah. Well,
So-
I've enjoyed some Madeiras.
Well, we'll talk about that more on the episode to finish up this year.
Okay, sounds good.
So there's a little tease, everybody. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.